Good afternoon. This is Esther Lawson with God's Grace Garden, and today is October the 18th, and we're looking here at the mini garden. And it's been a few weeks since I've done my last video. Been kind of busy with school, but nevertheless, no matter if you're out here or not, the garden is going to keep growing. So this is what we have here so far. The pole beans, they seem to be growing pretty well. I got some on here that needs to be harvested soon, so that's probably what I'll be doing later on. If you look in here, we got green beans just hanging around, ready to be picked off here, and these are the pole beans. The cucumber is gone. It died down, so I planted some more cucumber. If you see there, it's growing in. I have some growing there with some radishes, and also in this one with the cayenne peppers that, you know, they're hanging in there. You know, they've gotten darker over the last few weeks and grown more leaves, but they're almost about done. So I put some radishes and cucumber in this container. You see the cucumber over there? So it looks pretty good. It's growing. This is another tomato that I had planted. So it's growing. This is the Swiss chard. Look how pretty that Swiss chard is. It had been eaten by some type of bug, but it decided to leave it alone, and it's growing pretty well now. Pole beans are continuously growing. These pole beans were planted nicely, so they did get some type of bacteria on the leaves, but it was taken care of with some neem oil and other soaps to clean off the leaves. And this right here is a broccoli that has been eaten a lot really, by some slugs or something like that. It looks like slugs. So I might pull that. I'm going to see if I can get it to get a little bit of healthier so that it can keep growing too. So that's that. This one right here had the squash in it. I pulled it because it had bolted. It was done. So I planted another squash that's right here, and some cucumbers right there, and the radish. So that's that container. And right here, this is the Georgia collard greens. They've been growing. Radishes and cucumbers because the other cucumber died down. A tomato, mosquito. A tomato plant here is growing. It has tomatoes growing on it. Look at there. So these are fall tomatoes that have this plant right here I bought from Lowe's, and it had gotten tomatoes to grow on it over the summer, and it was basically done, but it revived back, and now it has more tomatoes growing on it over on this side too. I forgot exactly where, but you'll see those flowers over there, and they'll be blooming soon too. Right there, there it is. That's that, and there's some tomatoes in fact growing. I'll look at it later maybe. I can't see it on this end, but it's in here somewhere. It's about 3 tomatoes growing already on this one little plant that is getting fruit for the second time. So here it is. That's 2 here and 3. It just fell off. Well, that'll help these other 2 grow better because they've already been pollinated and have tomatoes growing on it there. Look at there. That's pretty. So this is a squash plant that's growing in a container, and a cucumber and a radish plant, and I think I put some spinach, not spinach, but collard greens in there just to see if it'll grow, and it's growing. The rosemary is continuously growing. It's an herb, and more cucumber right there. So that is the left side of the mini garden. We'll take a look at the right side. Okay, this is the right side where we used to have the morning glories. I removed those and put some cucumbers in here with a broccoli. And this one we have the Swiss chard that's been there for about maybe 2 months now. It's growing pretty with some cucumber. These are cucumbers and radishes and collard greens started from seed. And some tomatoes too. I just started a couple things from seed to see how they'll grow and plant it in the garden once it gets to a certain stage. Here's a squash right there on the right, and some cucumber and radish. So that's about it. Let's go take a look at the third part of the mini garden and then the main garden. Okay, if you see here, the pole beans that I have growing in this container, they're growing and they're flowering. And then they have green beans, in fact, growing on them as well. At the bottom of this container, there's some Swiss chard. It's pretty. And some spinach. Not spinach. I keep saying spinach. I mean collard greens. These are Georgia collard greens. They don't, look too well, but we'll keep letting them grow. And, we have various things that I planted from seed over here, too. These are all my squash plants. And that's another squash plant right here. And that's radishes and some collard greens too, growing in these containers. And that's broccoli right here, growing from seed. This one has tomato in it, and on the left here, you'll see this is a broccoli that was eaten down by grasshoppers. I'll show you the criminal here in a little bit. He's been apprehended, so don't be alarmed. But in this one we have some Swiss chard growing too, and I'm gonna be planting some more in the garden soon. Since it's cooled off, I think they should be doing better than they've been doing before. When these were originally planted, it was pretty hot. But that's the Swiss chard going there. Everything else had died down because the grasshoppers had eaten everything up. They got underneath the netting, so they're persistent. So you got to keep a lookout for them. This right here is one Georgia collard green that did survive, and it's been growing pretty good. And another tomato. Over there is another tomato. It has flowers growing on it as well. And a squash plant with another Georgia collard green, and some more squash and cucumber with Swiss chard. So let's go take a look at the main garden. Well, first thing, this is my compost pile, and it's turned a little bit darker than it had been about a month ago, so it's looking pretty good. And I used a little bit on it on the garden already, so it's almost ready. I've got another month or two. I haven't been turning it as much as I should, but nevertheless, it's still composting. This is the left side of the garden, and as you see, since fall has set in, we have a lot of leaf droppage, which isn't really a bad thing because it adds a little bit of organic matter to the garden, and a mulch somewhat with the leaves. So I like the leaves. It looks pretty. But right here, these are the Kentucky Wonder. And I have to watch my step here because I have like little landmines of different things growing in the garden. But these are the Kentucky Wonders that about maybe 2 months ago, they were on the verge of dying because of the mold that had gotten on the leaves. But what I did is I scrubbed all the mold off, and I continuously fertilized and put compost tea on them, and they've turned around, and since then they've grown almost up to the whole TP, and it has little runners growing on the back that I've had to add connectors to because they're covering up the back end of the TP now. So I think these are going to continuously grow until the first frost. So we'll have green beans. As you see here, they are already growing on here. I've pulled off a lot of them to keep more flowers growing, and it seems to be working. I have a lot of flowers coming in. There's another little batch of green beans, and if you look down here, there's more. So in another maybe couple days, I'll harvest these green beans off of here. Around here, I have some radish growing, another squash, Swiss chard, squash, This looks like cabbage, squash there with a radish on behind it. I have broccoli that seems to be eaten up by what looks like maybe slugs. Right here I have some green beans, regular bush green beans growing, and a cucumber in the middle of there. It's pretty. Nice big leaves. Let's take a closer look at that. Actually, it's two of them. One right here, one right there, and these are the green beans. Nice big green leaves growing out the first level. It has another level that's about to start growing as well. So I'll be having some bush green beans too. These are the Kentucky Wonder green beans that are growing up this trellis on this end and that end. That's Georgia green, collard greens, cucumbers. Some of these are slicing cucumbers and others are pickling. This right here is slicing variety. This one, and this one. There's a pickling one, I remember, growing there. So I have cucumbers that should be growing. Some of them are getting their trellis things, little tassels, I don't know what you call them. There it is. It's starting to go to the next level. So we should be having cucumbers here in the next month, at least until the next frost. Some more cucumbers back here. So that's about all that's going on this side of the garden. Let's look at the back end as well. More green beans and radishes. Look how pretty that radish there is. Isn't that real pretty? With some Kentucky Wonder green beans growing up this little pole, which I don't know how much extended over, but you see there, it's wanting to reach out and grab something, and I don't have anything for it to grab right yet, so I'll work that out later. So right here is some more bush green beans growing in with radishes, and I tried to grow some cucumbers here, but they didn't make it, so I just gave up on that. What I'm going to do, because this looks just terrible because it never really recovered from whatever bacteria that was on the leaves back here on the purple hull peas, I'm probably going to go ahead and pull these to make room for some Swiss chard and other fall vegetables that I can use this space for. You know, it's done. So I'm going to save some of the seeds for these, but they're turning purple on there nevertheless. Next year I'll grow them better. This is the first year of growing purple hull peas. Now I know the ins and outs about it, and it should grow a little better. There's another bush green bean. So I think this is a lot of planting space that I can use better than for something that's pretty much already done. There's some more Swiss chard right there. I have some little new growth growing on some of these okras that I had trimmed down. If you can see that there, some new growth. I cut it down and clipped it, and now some of them are growing, but some of them are just taking a long time to start getting little shooters coming out the sides, but we'll wait because I love okra, so I'm not going to give up on it. Here's some more purple hull peas, and these are ready to be harvested right here. This one. Look how purple and pretty that is. So I'll just take this off real quick. Open it up. These are purple hull peas. Look at there. So, you know, I could have left it on a couple of more days, but it's okay. Look at there. Can you see that? It's a purple hull pea. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and tear both of these purple hull peas down and call it a year on them. So let's move on to the tomatoes and the okra, and we'll be done. Okay, excuse me if my voice is leaving me. But anyways, these are the tomatoes that were planted around about July time frame. They're going to be my fall tomatoes. If you can look there, we have some tomatoes growing right here. There's one, and some other ones that's coming in later. Just throughout the garden we have tomatoes just growing, and they're tall as the okra that I cut down to at least 4 feet tall. I'm using the okra as a trellis for the tomatoes. Look at there. Isn't that neat? I did it on this side too. So I think the okra will make a pretty decent support system for my tomatoes until they can get some leaves growing on them better. So there's no way that you can't use okra. You can use it for many things. So look at those tomatoes growing here, and I got some growing over, I thought it was over here too, but it's there. There's some growing over here. Look at there. So I'm just going to be patient and wait for them to grow on in there. This is my sweet potatoes. I'm probably going to cut the leaves off and eat the sweet potato leaves. Sweet potato leaves are not poisonous. You can actually eat them. However, regular potato leaves do not eat them. But these are my sweet potatoes growing with some more purple hull peas. And I'll let these purple hull peas stay in there. But here's another tomato that's branched off all the way over here. So I should be having some tomatoes. I don't know how many quite yet, but we'll see. So that's the okra. Let's take a look closely at it. We do have some leaves growing in, but they're real light green. So they may be lacking nitrogen. The reason why the leaf shoots are taking so long to come in. But you know, they're trying to come in there. Look closely. It's poking out. But nevertheless, until they get some more action, I'll be using them. There goes some more tomatoes there. I'll be using them as trellises for my tomatoes that are about 4.5 feet tall. Here it is, all the way up here. This is 4 feet tall. Well, no. Yeah, 4 feet tall stakes. And the tomato is right up to here. So that's about 4.5 feet. Pretty. So, that basically sums up everything with the garden. I do have a little bit of cabbage that had died in the late part of summer. But since it cooled down, it's starting to come in and grow a little better and get more nutritious. I have strawberries that have started to flower, and they have strawberries growing on them too, right here. So I'll be putting another batch of compost tea on and continuously keeping the garden weeded a little bit better. It's hard to catch weeds whenever the fall leaves and stuff are covering them up, but look at there. Look how pretty those tomatoes are growing in a little batch. So this is Esther Lawson with God's Grace Garden, and we'll see you in the next few weeks. Goodbye.